$1,000, that's it. That's the starting point. But according to official government projections, that same $1,000, left untouched, invested, and given enough time, could grow into $243,000 by the time a child turns 55. No extra contributions, no lottery win, just time and compound growth doing exactly what they do best. A brand new program just launched in the United States that does exactly this, automatically for millions of children. Today I'm breaking down exactly how it works, the real math behind it, and more importantly, the mindset lesson hiding inside it that applies to literally anyone, no matter how old you are. Let's get into it. On July 4th, 2026, a new type of investment account officially went live in the United States, sometimes called a Trump account. Strip away the name, and here's what it actually is: a government-seeded investment account created for children, functioning similarly to a retirement account, but starting from the day a child is born. Here's the mechanic. Children born between January 1st, 2025 and December 31st, 2028 receive an automatic $1,000 deposit from the U.S. Treasury into their own account. On top of that, a $6.25 billion charitable pledge is providing an additional $250 for eligible children born before 2025 in certain lower-income areas. As of early July, more than 6 million children had already been registered. Here's where it gets interesting from a pure numbers standpoint. The funds inside these accounts are invested in low-cost funds tracking the S&P 500, not sitting in cash, not earning some small guaranteed interest rate. Actual market exposure, growing the same way a serious long-term investment portfolio would. Family members, friends, and even employers can add to the account. The current limit is up to $5,000 a year from family and friends combined, and up to $2,500 a year specifically from an employer. Some major companies are already stepping in, matching contributions for their employees' children as a benefit. Here's the part that matters most. The money cannot be touched until the child turns 18. That's not a downside. That 18-year runway, untouched, is exactly what allows compound growth to do its real work. The same principle wealthy families have used for generations, just now built directly into a government program from birth. Let's look at the official projections because the math here is the entire point of this video. Scenario 1. Just the initial $1,000 government deposit, no additional contributions at all, assumed at roughly the S&P 500's historical average return. That single deposit is projected to grow to around $6,000 by age 18, $15,000 by age 27, and $243,000 by age 55. Scenario 2. The same $1,000 starting deposit, plus the maximum $5,000 contributed every single year until adulthood. That version is projected to reach $271,000 by age 18, $742,000 by age 27, and approximately $13 million by age 55. Same government seed, same starting point. The only difference between $243,000 and $13 million is consistent contribution and time, nothing else. Let's make that difference concrete. 2 children, both born the same year, both receiving the exact same $1,000 government deposit on day 1. Child A's family never adds another dollar. Life happens, budgets are tight, and that's completely understandable. Child B's family finds a way to contribute roughly $400 a month, reaching that $5,000 annual maximum for 18 straight years. By the time both children turn 55, Child A's account, untouched after that first deposit, has still grown to a meaningful $243,000 purely from time in the market. Child B's account, fueled by consistent contributions during childhood alone, is projected at approximately $13 million. Both children benefited from the exact same starting gift. The gap between them was built entirely in 18 years, then left alone to compound for decades afterward.
By the time both children turn 55, Child A's account, untouched after that first deposit, has still grown to a meaningful $243,000, purely from time in the market. Child B's account, fueled by consistent contributions during childhood alone, is projected at approximately $13 million. Both children benefited from the exact same starting gift. The gap between them was built entirely in 18 years, then left alone to compound for decades afterward. Now, to be fair and balanced about this, because the math above assumes conditions that won't be true for everyone, those projections lean on the S&P 500's long-term historical average return, which has been over 10% annually across its history. Some market analysts project more conservative future returns going forward, closer to 6 or 7%, which would meaningfully lower those long-term numbers, though the accounts would still benefit significantly from time and compounding. There's also a fairness conversation happening around this program. Researchers have pointed out that participation, and especially the size of additional family contributions, will likely vary a great deal by household income, meaning families who can already afford to contribute more will likely see the largest gains, while lower income families relying only on the initial government deposit will see smaller, though still meaningful growth. Both of those points are worth knowing if you're deciding how to think about this program for your own family. There's a real documented pattern here worth understanding. Research on similar child savings programs consistently shows that families with more disposable income tend to contribute more consistently over time, which isn't a criticism of any one family's choices. It's simply a reflection of how much harder it is to set aside money when a budget is already stretched thin. That means two children could receive the exact same government seed money and still end up with very different outcomes 18 years later, based almost entirely on their family's financial flexibility during that window. This doesn't make the program's core mechanism any less powerful. It just means the size of the eventual outcome, $200,000 versus several million, depends heavily on what happens after the initial deposit, not just the deposit itself. Here's what actually matters beyond the politics and the headlines. This program is a real-world government-scale demonstration of the exact principle wealthy families have quietly used for generations. Start early. Let time work before you need the money to work. Prioritize consistency over the size of any single contribution. A $5,000 contribution made every year for 18 years will always outperform a much larger lump sum contributed just once, right before the money is needed. You don't need a government program to apply this lesson, whether it's a retirement account, an investment account for a child, or even a small side fund you start today. The mechanism is identical. The person who starts earliest and stays consistent longest almost always wins, regardless of how much they started with. Consider someone who starts investing $200 a month at age 25 and simply never stops, versus someone who waits until 35 to start, then contributes twice as much, $400 a month, to try to catch up. At a typical long-term market return, the person who started 10 years earlier, contributing half as much per month, often ends up with more money by retirement, not because they contributed more overall, because their money had 10 extra years to compound before it needed to grow at all. That's the exact same principle sitting inside this children's account program, just visible on a scale that's impossible to ignore. So here's the recap. A new program is putting real starting capital directly into investment accounts for millions of children, growing through the market instead of sitting still. The government's own numbers show the difference between doing nothing extra and contributing consistently is the difference between roughly $200,000 and over $10 million by retirement age. The lesson isn't really about this one specific program. It's about what it proves in black and white government math, about starting early and staying consistent. A principle that applies whether you're 25 or 55, whether you have $5 or $5,000. If breaking down real financial news like this is useful to you, hit subscribe, because that's exactly what this channel does every week. And let me know in the comments, if you had a chance to start an account like this 18 years ago, what would you have done differently? I'll see you in the next one.